All in for Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
I'm all in for Angela Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
I'm all in for Angela Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
I'm all in for Angela Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
I'm all in for Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
Of course I'm in for Angela Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
Hello, I'm all in for Angela Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
I am all in for Angela Alsobrooks for United States Senate. Our vote is our hope.
We are so excited. We are all in for Angela Alsobrooks.
Because our vote is our hope.
I'm all in for Angela Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
I am all in for Angela Alsobrooks. Our vote is our hope.
You voting this year? Of course I am. Because you know, I'm all in for Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
I am all in for Angela Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
I'm all in for Angela Alsobrooks because our vote is our hope.
In this election, you have a chance to send a leader to the Senate who will always put you first. Angela Alsobrooks. As state's attorney, she helped cut violent crime in half. And in the Senate, Angela will fight for you. She'll work to lower costs and lead the fight to protect our democracy and our freedoms. Control of the Senate could come down to Maryland. So vote for Angela Alsobrooks.
I'm Angela Alsobrooks, and I approve this message.
I'm going to be a senator for the whole state. You know, you say that I'm not from the Eastern Shore, but upon election I will be, right? Because you know what, I'm going to be representing the whole state so that the people of the Eastern Shore, Mountain, Maryland, all of it, I regard as my community.
My little sister, she's 6. She's learning about you right now. So I just wanted to get a picture. Yes, they're teaching them politics so they can get into voting really young. So
that is amazing. Well, I'm sure she's proud of you.
I'm going to be looking forward to working with the local leaders who are here. This is a team that we have here. I hope you all know that. Then guess what? I'm going to return often to the Eastern Shore because it is going to be important to hear from you what the priorities are for you, for your communities. And the things I have heard pretty unanimously on the show: transportation, education, investing in education, and about healthcare access. And affordable housing has been a huge issue that I've heard over and over again. We're one big community. And so I can assure you that I will be here frequently. I've been here at worship, I've met with you, and I'll continue doing that to make sure that I am a present figure and that I am a senator for the whole state, the whole state.
Good evening. And can you feel it? We are all in for Angela Alsobrooks, and we are all in for the Harris Waltz team. Welcome, Black Marylanders, for Kamala and Angela. Tonight, we're going to have an intense dialogue about what's at stake as we think about this next election and as we think about the fact that we are 30 days out from making history. You've heard it time and time again from our own governor, the Honorable Wes Moore. It's our time, it's our moment, it's our decade, not just here in the state of Maryland, but across these United States of America. I'm Charlene Dukes, the first vice chair of the Maryland Democratic Party, and we are proud to welcome you all to our virtual rally tonight, Black Marylanders for Kamala and for Angela. So we have a whole lineup prepared for you. We're going to have our electeds really talk about what's at stake in this election, what's important for us to do, and how we make sure that we don't take our foot off the gas, that we only put it on the brake when we see that yellow light coming so we can stop at the red light. But as soon as it turns green again, we keep moving, we keep knocking on doors, we keep making phone calls, we keep writing postcards, we keep educating the voters, not just about what's at stake, but who are the best candidates to represent all the people, not just some of the people. So thank you all for being here with us tonight. We have a great lineup for you, as I've already said, and we're going to get right into it. Now, I'm going to welcome for you all and introduce a very special guest who's with us tonight. She is considered one of the nation's top strategic thinkers in both political and corporate strategy. And as I do that, you also saw that I think we flashed across the screen the co-chairs of the Black Maryland electeds for Kamala and Angela, our own Governor Wes Moore and First Lady Dawn Moore, Attorney General Anthony Brown, Treasurer Derek Davis, Congressman Kwesi Mfume, Congressman Glenn Ivey, Speaker Adrian Jones, Delegate Janelle Wilkins, County Executive Calvin Ball, and Mayor Brandon Scott. I wanted to make sure that I did that because they are working every day for all of us to ensure that Maryland and the nation continues to not just thrive, not just survive, but to thrive. So thank you all for allowing me to recognize our co-chairs for the Black Maryland electeds. And let me get back to my introduction. So I'm going to start again. She is one of the nation's top strategic thinkers in political and corporate strategy. She is originally from Chicago, Illinois. She makes her residence now in the District of Columbia. Welcome to Mignon Moore, the chair of the Democratic National Convention. You all felt the electricity. How do I know? Because you were texting me as we were sitting in the United Center. It is all because of her strategy, her thinking, her relationships, her commitment, that we all had a great time and it fired us all up. We are ready to go. Mignon Moore, thank you for being with us tonight. And why don't you talk to us about what's at stake in this election?
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be on this call to not only speak up for my dear friend Angela Alsobrooks, but to also speak on behalf of our Vice President Kamala Harris. And I'd also like to give a shout out to the governor and our First Lady. I feel like the DMV, they're our governor and they're my governor and she's our First Lady. So thank you again for welcoming me to this call. I don't think I have to tell anyone on this call what's at stake. We all know what's at stake. And I think you will hear from the Marylanders what's at stake specifically in Maryland. But I first want to just say on behalf of Angela, I cannot tell you how deeply and how profoundly grateful that she decided to take the chance on herself and Marylanders to run for this seat. She is immensely qualified. She is a woman of character. You've heard so much about her origin story and her family. And the thing that I know most about what she will do once she gets that seat, she will represent Marylanders well, and she will represent the country well, because she believes in all the fundamental values that we believe in, not just as Black people, but as Americans, as women. You know, I think about all the things that she's done over her young career to get her to this point. And I want to say to every Marylander that's listening under the sound of my voice, you will not have a better representative than Angela Alsobrooks. She will fight for families. She will fight for the economy. She will fight for health care. She will fight for education. She will be a good partner to Vice President Harris. And that's what we need in Marylanders. You could be making history, not just because she's a Black woman or a woman, but because the Senate is hanging in the balance. I don't want you to get fooled. I do not want you to get fooled, because once you get to that Senate, you're going to vote the party line. And we need a partner for Kamala Harris. And I believe that she will be a great partner and a great steward of the economy. She will protect our children. She will protect our seniors. And I'm telling you, on behalf of the vice president wants Angela Alsobrooks to be elected. And we are actually appealing to each of you, to young men, to old men, to seniors, to young women. Reproductive rights is on the line. We have so much on the line that she values for our people. She's a woman of great faith. I mean, if you look at how she was raised, how her mother brought her into this world to care for people. I am passionate about this because I know this woman will be honorable and she will honor Marylanders. So I'm asking you, don't sleep this. Go get your ballots early, and then go get your friends, go knock on your neighbor's door, go take seniors to the polls, do whatever you have to do, but leave no stone unturned, because Angela Alsobrooks will be the next United States Senator from the great state of Maryland if you take the charge and help put her on your back and take her across the finish line.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mignon. And I have one last question for you as you continue, as I say, to rally the troops all across the United States of America and our U.S. territories where voting is certainly allowable, and across the world, really, because we have Democrats abroad, we have Americans who are serving in other countries, but they too will exercise their right to vote in this election. But as you think about it, what would you say is the most important thing that we can do in these last 30 days?
Well, right now, as we all know, we're in the final stretch. And we can't take for granted that everybody gets the messages. And what I do know and what I've learned over the years is people like to listen to the people they trust. So I am asking the church leaders, you don't have to jeopardize your 501c3 status, but you are an individual. Use your voice. Your community trusts you. The beauticians, use your voice. Your community trusts you. What we have to do is understand that everybody needs to hear something about Angela and Vice President Harris. We have to be the messengers. You know, the old saying, each one teach one. Each one of us must teach one. We have to, she might still need to raise a little money to get her across the finish line. If you can raise money, do that. If you can make phone calls, if you can knock on doors, if you can go to the shopping malls, if you can pass out literature, if you can pick up yard signs and get them to the seniors. This is old-fashioned grassroots metal. You don't have to be a digital strategist, but that's important too. The young people, if you're on digital, make sure you are making sure you are putting on Instagram, I vote for Angela Alsobrooks, I vote for Kamala Harris. Use whatever tools you have, because you know what? What's changed now, the media landscape has changed. Everybody is not watching 60 Minutes. Everybody is not sitting before their computers. They're on their phones. They get you wherever they are. Find a voter wherever they are. And I assure you, if you just think of 5 voters 5 people that you can take to the polls, or you can make sure that they get to the polls early. Just 5. Each one of us have the ability to sway someone. Use your voice, because you know what? You don't want to regret not casting that vote, especially knowing that Maryland could be the deciding seat to switch from whether we're going to have a Senate that's in the Democratic control or whether we're going to have a seat that's sitting in the Republican control. I put my faith, I put all of my trust right now in Angela Alsobrooks and Kamala Harris, and I ask that you do the same. Just know your own power.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And you know, in Maryland, we are certainly working hard to do our part to ensure that there is a blue wave across the state of Maryland and that it takes hold as we touch Pennsylvania, Virginia, Ohio. Right. We can go on and on and on. Even today, we have some of our electeds who are in Pennsylvania, one of whom who is scheduled to be with us, Attorney General Anthony Brown, who is still in Pennsylvania, door knocking and talking to folks and educating voters about really what's at stake and who are the best people to lead our country. Right. At the highest seat in the land, the highest seats in the land, really, if you think about the president and the vice president, and certainly maintaining control of the Senate. So we want to thank you for taking a few moments out of your day. We know how busy you are, and I will tell you, some of us on this call were actually at the Democratic convention, and it rocked. It rocked.
Well, our keynote speaker rocked too. By the way.
Absolutely.
Let me just tell you, she represented Maryland quite well. So I'm like, okay, now all the rest of you people got to step up to the plate. But she rocked, and I thank her for that. And I know the vice president does. And I just can't say it enough. She is just a woman of just tremendous honor and character. And I just believe that she would make one of the best senators that we can have right now. So thank you so much for inviting me.
And thank you so much for being with us. Know that Maryland is here for you for anything that you need.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
And please join me in thanking. Send up all of your emojis. I know that you all have been talking in the chats to thank Miss Moore for being with us today, but this is not the last time we'll see her. We have 30 days, and on November 5th, we expect to have the biggest party in the land.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And as we also want to bring up someone who is actually a Marylander and is one of the pollster and will talk to us about the national landscape of the election, Terrence Woodbury.
Hello there. Thank you so much for having me. I think I'm being restricted from cutting my video on, so I hope you all can hear me.
We can hear you, and we'll get someone to work behind the scenes on turning your camera on for you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Dukes. Thank you for having me. I am thrilled to be here as start my video. All right. Thank you, folks.
We can see you. All good.
Hello, Maryland. How are you? My name is Terrence Woodbury. I'm the owner of Hit Strategies. We're a full-service public opinion research firm that works on behalf of Democratic candidates, Democratic causes, and Democratic issues. We work for the Democratic Party. We work for a lot of dynamic candidates, including the Vice President and future President, Kamala Harris. And we are excited to be supporting Angela Alsobrooks. This is a critical race. We know what it's going to take. The folks on the Harris campaign are very sober-eyed and clear-eyed about what it's going to take to get the vice president over the finish line in 30 days. But we also know that she will not be able to achieve that agenda if she does not have partners in Congress and in the Senate. We have to deliver that gavel to future Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, but we also have to deliver 50+1 votes in the U.S. Senate. And we know that the Senate map is tough for Democrats. We're defending 7 or 8 seats in competitive states, 3 or 4 of them in which Donald Trump actually won. And we know that we have a formidable opponent in Larry Hogan. We understand the assignment, and folks are already set on business here. We have about 30 days. I am from Maryland, and I've spent every election day for the past 15 years in a battleground stage. This will be the first time I get to stay home because we got a battle to win right here in the DMV. And so I'll be reporting to duty. I want to share a little bit about what we're seeing here. I work primarily with voters of color, but for the Harris campaign, I'm working specifically on Black voters. And so I want to just tell you a little bit about what we're seeing with Black voters that is consistent with what we're seeing with voters in Maryland and what it's going to take to bring this thing home, because we do still have to continue to shore up our coalition. We know that 70 to 80% of Black voters are already with us. We know that there's been some erosion, and not just in this election, for several elections. This is not a problem that's unique to Kamala Harris. It's not a problem that's unique to Angela Alsobrooks because she's running against a formidable Republican. Democrats have been, there's been a slight erosion of the Black coalition within the Democratic Party ever since Barack Obama exited the political stage. And so we are all the vice president and Angela Alsobrooks has made it very clear they are not entitled to anyone's votes, and they are going to work for every one of them. They're going to meet voters where they are. But we know that last, and this is the last thing I want to leave you all with, is that last remaining 20 to 30% of Black folks that aren't with us yet, they are different, y'all. They different, and there's a reason that they haven't quite come along to supporting or to commit to vote for Kamala Harris and Angela Alsobrooks yet. And it's not all. I hear a lot about sexism and men and Black men. I just want to correct the record on some of this because there is a gender gap there's a gender gap about how men are different voting different than women amongst all races. That is not unique to Black folks. Men of all races vote more than women. Women of all races vote more than men, and women of all races vote more Democratic than men. That is not unique to Black folks. But there is, in politics, demographics is often destiny. And so when we see voters of color, when we see younger voters, they often have, when we see candidates of color, they often have higher support from voters of color and from younger voters. We see the same thing happening with Angela Alsobrooks, and Kamala Harris. They are surging amongst women. They are surging amongst younger voters as these generational talents that they represent. But they're also doing much better with women than they are with men. And I want to be clear that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with those men. It means that we got to roll up our sleeves and go get them because they are our voters. They are our voters, and they're going to get us over the finish line. What's it going to take? Mignon mentioned this. It's going to take all of us being a trusted messenger. Getting the ads on TV and getting the ads in the palm of their hand and the ads on digital, that's important to raising her favorability, to raising her name ID. But sometimes getting over that last barrier of now will you vote for her, that's got to come from someone they know and someone they trust. And so let's make sure that we are all, assuming that role of trusted messenger. When we do that, I'm gonna leave y'all here for real. This is my last thing. When we become these trusted messengers, folks, it is critical that we are not starting these conversations. Yes, I'm going to answer the issue question. It's important that as trusted messengers, we're not starting these conversations by asking them what's wrong with them for not supporting Kamala Harris, what's wrong with them for not supporting Angela Alsobrooks. That for many of them, they just have questions. They just and we can't wag our finger at them when they ask those questions. And we can accuse them of being sexist when they ask those questions because some of them have not been engaged in politics for as long or for as consistently as we have. And so we will be the messengers that introduce them. We should ask them about what their barriers are. Ask them about why they haven't. What is preventing them from voting for Kamala Harris or for Angela Alsobrooks. And then when we get those answers, it's important to arm them with information, and even more important is to direct them to information. Remember, this last 30% is different. Well, a part of that difference is that they don't trust systems. They don't trust the political system, the political process, and they want to go and find their own research. They want to go and validate their own ideas and their own opinions. And so instead of just telling them what they should do and telling them what they should know, let's arm them with information. I call it click here messaging. Scan him. Here's a QR code. Go to the website. Scan right here. Take a look for yourself. Last thing, I just saw somebody pop in here. What's the issues? Top issues for Black folks right now, and this is pretty consistent. It's not just amongst Black folks. The number one issue in this election is cost. It is not just economy. It is cost. Every election is about the economy, but economy means something different every time. This time, like in 2008, economy meant foreclosures, and you're going through the recession and unemployment rates. In 2012, at the height of the Tea Party, economy meant taxes and spending, right? In 2020, economy meant coming out of that recession and reopening our economy. Well, now economy means cost, y'all. And the number one progress point that we have to point to on reducing cost is $35 insulin. It is effective. It is impacting people's lives, specifically this group of voters that we still have to go in. And it allows us to talk about what we're going to do in the future. We've already capped insulin costs for seniors at $35, and we will continue to cap the cost of prescription drugs for everybody when we elect Kamala Harris as president and Angela Alsobrooks to help maintain control of the U.S. Senate. Well, thank you all so much. Let's bring this thing home.
Thank you, Mr. Woodbury. And you actually, I think, provided some information that will be helpful to us, as you said, as we not only listen, but we make sure that the information is out there and that we can point individuals to the right place to find it. So thank you. Look, we're glad you're going to be in Maryland this time around. And you know that the party is here. If you need anything, we know how to reach you if we need to call on you to provide us with some more information. Thank you for all that you do and for joining us.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to introduce someone that you will recognize this. He has been the leader of a city that has been defined most recently as part of Baltimore Tough and Maryland Strong. Welcome, the mayor of the city of Baltimore, the Honorable Brandon Scott.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dukes, and good evening, everybody. As you know, I am Mayor Brandon Scott, the mayor of the greatest city in America, Baltimore, Maryland. But here tonight, I'm here to talk to us about our responsibility, because not only is our vote our hope, our vote is our voice. And we all have to understand what's at stake in this election, both for the country and for us in Maryland. I spent this weekend in Pennsylvania, in media, in Chester, campaigning for the vice president, who will be the next president of these United States. But now I'm back home, because we also know that many times when we're talking about national elections, Maryland gets looked over, but not this time. It is in our hands, in Maryland, in Black people's hands, in Maryland, on whether we're going to save this democracy, because that's what we're going to be doing when we send Angela Alsobrooks to the United States Senate. We all know who her opponent is. Black people, especially Black Baltimoreans, know better than anybody who Larry Hogan is. He is not some moderate Republican. He is not someone that will stand up to Donald Trump. He is not someone that will stand up against Project 2025. He is someone that will tell you anything you want to hear and will vote with his party the first day he gets there. We have to be reminded. I don't have to remind Baltimoreans about the time when he canceled our subway line and then took us off the map of Maryland. I don't have to remind you that it took me months after getting into office to even get a meeting with this man. This is not someone we should send to be our United States Senator here in the state of Maryland. We have someone that is proven, tried, and ready, and Angela Alsobrooks, who has served as the state's attorney for Prince George's County and fabulously as the county executive for Prince Kamala Harris is the president. She's going to need that majority in the Senate to get our mission across. So when you think about what's at stake at this country, the country itself is at stake. Democracy is at stake, with the former failed president saying that he wants to be a dictator on day one. Women's rights is at stake, because we cannot trust Larry Hogan on this issue, because he flip-flops. We don't know. Some days it's like some days he's a Ravens fan, some days he's a Commanders fan. The guy flip-flops too much for me. We cannot put women's rights in his hands, right? Voting rights are at stake. We know they want to repeal these things back so that people, and we have to call a spade, as we say. We know what they're talking about when they say they want to make it harder for people to vote. They're talking about us. And people have died in this country in order for us to be able to vote. We owe it to all of those people to stand up and reject these folks who want to take that away. Gun control is on the ballot. We have to understand that this vice president and president have done more for against gun control and gun safety than any president in the last 30 years. But they can't go any further without Congress. I know that my friend, County Executive Alsobrooks, will vote the right way because I've been in those rooms. We've been in those meetings together, clamoring for things. We understand at the local level how to truly reduce violence like we have across this country and across the state of Maryland. That's what's on the ballot. Education is on the ballot. They want to get rid of the U.S. Department of Education. And if we do not send the right person to be our United States Senator, that can go away. The fight against climate change and good old common sense will go away. That's what we're fighting for. So we have to go out and reach out, people. We have to, as my good friend Terrence was saying, have the tough conversations and arm people with the information that they need. Because there's a lot of misinformation being put out there and being targeted, especially at Black men. So we have to make sure that we double and triple our efforts to make sure that we're educating them, arming them with the right information. And let's be clear and honest. We have a chance to do something that this country is long overdue from doing. Black women have saved this country from itself time and time and time and time again. It's way past time for us to elect one of them to lead us and one of them to be our United States Senator from Maryland, Angela Alsobrooks. I cannot wait to see you all at the party on election night. But for the next 30 days, we have a lot of work to do to deliver Maryland and deliver the country for that we have a future that our children can hope to live up to.
Thank you so much, Mayor Scott. And I don't know if you you probably could feel the love, even if you couldn't see everything in the chat. You are getting all kinds of kudos and hurrahs, and thank you for your leadership, and thank you for being a Marylander. Thank you for telling it like it is. So we really want to thank you for being on the call with us this evening, for sharing your insights. And what we know is that you are part of Team Maryland. And it is our job, our responsibility to deliver Maryland so that actually Vice President Harris in her new role and Angela Alsobrooks in her new role can actually lead and govern for the people.
That's right.
Thank you so much. You hear it, you see it right there. Take care. And as we say goodbye to Mayor Brandon Scott, let me bring up Treasurer Derek Davis. Is the treasurer on the line? And if not, what we're going to do is we're going to keep moving, and then we will come back to us when he rejoins us. So at this point, what I'd like to do is to transition to, oh, he is on the line. Am I right? So Karen, the executive director of the Maryland Democratic Party, if you'll come off mute for me and let me know if Treasurer Davis is with us.
He is with us.
All right, then Treasurer Davis, you will need to unmute and turn your camera on, please. Or in the chat, let us know if there's, you can hit us up in the chat and let us know if there's something that we can do to help you. So what we'll do is, why don't we keep moving, and we'll bring the treasurer on. And what I'd like to do is I'd like you all to hear from a few voices as we think about what Mr. Woodbury said, and actually what Mayor Scott said about young people and certainly Black men, young women who are from they're thinking about things likely very differently than I think, even as a baby boomer myself. So I'd like to introduce Karen Darks, the executive director of the Maryland Democratic Party, and she's going to give us some information about voter registration, early voting, election day, and the top 5 things. So Karen, if you'll come off mute, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dukes, and thank you all for joining us today for this call. We've already heard from some amazing speakers, so I'm just going to jump right in and give you all some of the information and the tools that you need to get out the vote, or GOTV. You've heard a lot of us talk about GOTV. It's about get out the vote. That is those final days of the election where we're encouraging everyone to join us at the polls. So first and foremost, you need to make sure you are registered to vote. Make sure you, your neighbor, the people in PTA with you, everybody are registered to vote, and you can use this QR code to get all of this information. The voter registration deadline in the state of Maryland is October 15th. October 15th. You can go to iwillvote.com and you can register right there. Also, Maryland does have same day voter registration, so you can go and register to vote on election day, but you have to make sure you have all the documentation, all of your forms and everything to do that on election day. So we're asking you not to wait. Do it before October 15th and head over to iwillvote.com. Educate and learn about the key issues and the candidates. So you've already gotten started with that by being on this call tonight. You're hearing from our elected officials, you're hearing from our guest speakers about what issues are top of mind and most important to you as Black Marylanders, and you're getting informed. And if you haven't done it already, text your friends to get on this call because we're not done yet. Mobilize, encourage others to register and vote. So after you register to vote, send the link to all of those people I mentioned before, everybody in your life, and make sure they're registered. So we might just assume that since we voted last time, we're still registered. Many of us moved in the last year. I did. So we need to make sure our registration is updated and that we're voting for our right members of Congress and that everything is up to date. So go ahead and register to vote and encourage your friends to do the same. Vote early. Vote early. Early voting in the state of Maryland starts on October 21st. So we're going from October 21st to October 31st with early voting in the state of Maryland. You can vote at any polling location in your county during early voting. Any polling location in your county during early voting. Take advantage of it. Also, like I said, take 10 people to the polls. Bring at least 10 people with you to the polls. So if you're taking advantage of early voting, you're going to church, bring people with you after church to go vote. If you're getting off of work and you're going to go vote, bring your colleagues with you to go vote. If you're wrapping up a chapter meeting or anything that you're doing, go ahead and take all the people that you're with you to vote. Voting should be a shared experience. Bring your kids, bring your family, take your pictures with your Angela Alsobrooks stickers. You never know, you might run into one of our elected officials that are on this call at your polling location. So go ahead and get out there and vote and bring people with you.
So Karen, I want to thank you, but I think a little bigger. I say take 10 people to vote, even if you have to go back and pick some up if they don't have their own transportation. Talk to 10 people about what's so important about this election and ask them to talk to 10 more. And you do 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. If we're all doing our work and we're providing everyone with the information they need to make the best decision possible, we can make this happen. So, I've always been that kind of person. You say 5, I say 10, and probably somebody else, one of the panelists, will say, no, take 15 or 20. So we'll work it out. It'll be time well spent and certainly gas money well spent. So we want to thank you for that, Karen. We know you'll come back on. I do want to tell everyone that we are working with Treasurer Davis on his audio, so you will hear from him before the night is over. Karen, you want to take us to the next slide that's on the screen?
Yes, I just also wanted to encourage all of you to continue supporting the Maryland Democratic Party. We're going to be doing a few things between now and Election Day, one of which is celebrating our governor's birthday. His birthday party with the Maryland Democratic Party will be on October 16th at Camden Yards, and we hope that you all will join us for this evening of fun. Our tickets start for as low as $50, and every dollar that is donated to the Maryland Democratic Party through our governor's birthday bash will go directly into our coordinated campaign to help support Angela Alsobrooks and all of our candidates up and down the ballot on November 5th. So join us on October 16th. It's going to be a family fun night. We're celebrating our governor's birthday. We just confirmed DJ Quicksilva is going to be joining us. So we're going to have a lot of fun. So join us for that event on October 16th and tell everyone to come out and support us. Also, we have a bunch of events, like I said, between now and Election Day. We will have many special guests coming into Maryland to help campaign for us in a way that Maryland has never seen before. One of our panelists said earlier that they're usually in a battleground state. Well, guess what? Maryland is a battleground state this time. And we're getting a lot of special guests coming to see us. And we're going to be having this all in for Angela Defend Our Majority Tour. And we're going to have a stop on October 19th in Howard County. And we're excited to be working on a special guest to join us for that. That's going to be a women's rally. So we're calling all of the women to come join us and stand up for our rights and support Angela Alsobrooks and Kamala Harris at the top of our ticket. So if you go ahead and scan this QR code, it will take you to our Mobilize link where you can see all of the events that we have going all across the state between now and Election Day. Angela Alsobrooks and her bright green bus will be traveling around the state and bringing surrogates with her. And we want you to join us and show your visibility and hear from our speakers as we get closer to Election Day.
Thank you so much, Karen. And you know, what we've heard from Mignon, what we've heard from Terrence, what we've heard from Mayor Scott is that we have to be surrogates and proxies. We have to be the voices. We have two candidates, three really, when we think about the candidate for the Vice President of the United States. But in Kamala Harris and Angela Alsobrooks, we have amazing candidates, and everyone wants to touch them. They can't be everywhere, but we can. So let's educate ourselves. Let's make sure that we know where to send people for more information. And more importantly, let's encourage them to vote if they're registered and to register to vote if they are not, and then go out and vote. It does, if you're registered, but you don't vote, then we've lost a vote. So make sure that we help folks understand all of the steps and what's important in this election. So Karen, I'm going to thank you. And I think that we're ready for Treasurer Davis. And Treasurer Davis, if you'll unmute and turn your camera on.
All right, let me try this. Can you hear me?
And we can see you too.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I apologize for the technical difficulties, but I want to thank you, Dr. Dukes, and everyone who's on the call tonight. As Angela Alsobrooks would say, I am Prince George's proud to be with each and every one of you tonight. Let me start by saying this. Too often, just in general, we talk about what needs to be done, and that's very important. But I want to start by saying thank you. Let me say thank you. I know it's been quite a journey for Angela and some others, and all that you all have done, all the rallies that you've attended, all the fundraisers, your contributions, the phone banking, the door knocking. It's just been extraordinary. And I'm proud to have been on that journey with you, but the job is not done. The job is not done. I've heard a couple people talk about the stakes. You know, I was at an event for Angela a couple of days ago, and I think Yvette Lewis said it best. See, if Donald Trump loses this race, he also loses his freedom. But if Donald Trump wins this race, we lose ours. And I thought those words were just extraordinary. And it really captures the moment, you know, the stakes, what's going on. But here's the thing as well. We got to keep going. We got to keep doing whatever we can do to make this happen. I think as of Tuesday, I think we're down to 4 weeks. And early voting will start sooner than that. I know, folks are doing the mail-in balloting, so there really is no time to waste. We have to keep working. I know I was talking with former delegate Mike Arrington recently. He has a bus that he's taken up to Pennsylvania next Saturday. So we all got to keep working, keep pitching in. There's always something to do. And let me say this about Larry Hogan, and I also want to congratulate Angela for how she handles this. See, it's not about whether we like former Governor Hogan or whether we think he did a good job as governor or not, and all of that. That's totally irrelevant. This is about the control of the United States Senator. And so the United States Senate. And you can't get caught up in this, I'm a maverick, I'm independent. As someone who served in a legislative body for 27 years, I promise you, I assure you, people who are mavericks can get nothing accomplished. Not in a legislative body. That's far different than the executive branch. You have to pick a side. You have to work on a team if you want to get anything accomplished. And Governor Hogan has already said he's going to caucus with the Republicans. And you also have to understand they only really need one vote for him, and that's for majority leader. I mean, that's all they really need. And then he can go do whatever he wants. They will have control of the chamber, the appointment of judges, committee chairs. We can go on and on. We can't take that risk. We can't afford any more of what we've already experienced with the current Republican Party, the MAGA group. So I'm going to end right there. I know that we have a lot of speakers still to come. But again, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for all that you have done, all that you will do. And it's because of your efforts we're going to be successful on November 5th. Dr. Dukes? I think you're muted or.
And I am. Thank you. So I wanted to say thank you and to just acknowledge that I've had the pleasure of working for you in a number of capacities here in Prince George's County. And thanks for all that you have done throughout your entire career and what you continue to do, So what we know is that we're going to keep on pushing.
Yes, ma'am. We're a team, Team Maryland.
Absolutely. Take care and thank you for being on.
Bye now.
So we do have a panel for those of you who've joined us tonight. It looks like, if I'm looking, we have about 150 participants on the call right now. And I was saying earlier that we heard from a number of our panelists about, don't fall for this language with regard to what's happening with young voters or what's happening with particular gender or races of voters. And so we wanted to bring two individuals on who could talk to you about what they see as they go about doing the work to ensure that we maintain our commitment to democracy in this country. And Karen Darks is going to be the moderator for this short panel, but we are joined by Deli Okafor, who is the Vice President for Programs for the Young Democrats here in the state of Maryland, and Wisdom Coles, who is the Senior National Advocacy Director for the NAACP. So Deli and Wisdom, Karen, if you'll come off camera, and we'll let you get started.
So I'm coming off camera because I'm looking forward to speaking to both Deli and Wisdom, but I want to share with you all and Dr. Dukes, our special guest is going to be joining us in about 15 seconds at this point. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Dukes because we're going to have a little change in the program so that we can hear from our special guest, and then we will jump into this panel.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So you'll let me know when that special guest comes on. I think Wisdom sent a note to Desmond. And the other thing that you all know, I really want to thank you all.
Our special guest has joined.
I see that all of the messages that you're putting in the chat, and those messages really, really demonstrate your commitment to what we're doing now. And you can already see our special guest, the man that I always say needs no introduction because he is the best governor in the entire United States of America. Please welcome the Honorable Wes Moore, the governor of the state of Maryland.
Our leader, Dr. Dukes, we love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And hey, everybody, it's great to see you, and just wonderful to be with you tonight. So I'm actually coming to you from Pennsylvania, and so we've actually spent the night campaigning for the vice president in Pennsylvania with a collection of other governors, and actually just coming from a round table with a collection of Black men, talking about what is going to be required and necessary for Black men to really help to put this election over the edge. And I'm so proud to report this energy is real, that the momentum around the vice president is not just exciting, but this momentum around the vice president is truly something that I think is lasting, and as we are going to see what this is going to look like on election day. But the beautiful thing that I've continued to see, and the message that we've continued to share, is that nothing is going to be given in this race. Everything is going to be earned. And these next 30 days, or 29 in a wake up, as we reminded people, this is going to be hard. This is going to be a very challenging moment where we are going to watch everything thrown at us. We are going to watch misinformation on overdrive. We are going to watch crazy comments that are just going to be thrown out. You know, I was explaining earlier that literally in the past 3 days, and you cannot make this up, in the past 3 days, we had the former president, we had reports coming out that the former president was determining states that he would give relief funds to depending on their voting patterns, right? So Americans in need who were receiving financial support and disaster emergency support depending on how they voted in the 2016 election. In the past 3 days, we have heard that the former president said that Vice President Kamala Harris was, quote unquote, born mentally impaired. And in the past 3 days, we have watched a challenge of TBI, traumatic brain injury, which has really been the signature injury that we have seen from both Iraq and Afghanistan. For veterans like myself from the Afghanistan war, veterans from the Iraq war, over 500,000 veterans have been diagnosed with traumatic brain injuries. And we heard a former president of the United States talk about how they were nothing more than headaches. This is real, guys. And the kind of chaos that introduces, it is something that there is a very real threat of allowing that back into our ecosystem. But here's the thing that we know. The reason that we are all out here going 10 toes down to make sure that we have a President Kamala Harris and to make sure that we have a Senator Angela Alsobrooks is not because we are afraid of an alternative, right? It's because we're proud of their vision. We're proud of their values. We're proud of what they are going to be able to bring from their respective seats. That when we can have a President Kamala Harris and a Senator Alsobrooks, that we are going to ensure that we can have pathways for work, wages, and wealth for all of us in the state and not just some of us. That when we're able to have a President Harris and a Senator Alsobrooks, that we are going to have a state and have a country that is respected on a global stage. That when we have a President Harris and a Senator Alsobrooks, that we are going to have a White House and a Senate that's actually there to advance the issues that we have for the Harris-Walz administration and not serve as a barrier and a block to them. This is our moment. This is a chance when we have an opportunity not just to make history, which we will in November, but not just to make history, but to show what can happen when you have a group of people who show that intentionality matters. When you have a group of people that can show that how we use our voice, how we use our vote, and how we build tables that are big enough for all of us to have a seat at the table, that is going to matter and our greatest aspirations can actually be achieved. The reason that we are all in to make sure that Angela becomes our next senator and to make sure that Kamala becomes our next president is because we know what's possible. We know what we can actually do. And I'm thankful because 2 years ago, You all already showed it. That for so many of you who were all in, who pushed so hard to make history in the state of Maryland, but more importantly, you pushed to make sure that making history was not the assignment. We've got a chance to do it again. We're going to make history in November. We're going to have the first African-American woman ever elected as president of the United States, and we're going to have the first African-American woman ever elected as Senate in the state of Maryland. But we're going to have two leaders, two unique leaders, who know that that is not the assignment. That their job and what they are going to do is they're going to show with every single day that they are sitting in these seats that nothing is impossible, and that we truly can create a society that not just that we're going to be proud of, but that generations after us are going to be proud of. This is our time. And if we come out, we're going to win. The numbers are the numbers. And it's just very clear that when you look at what's happening on our side, we're encouraging everyone to come out to vote. If you look at what's happening on the other side, they're suppressing the vote. If you're looking at what's happening on our side, we're talking to everybody and telling them to make your voice heard. On the other side, they're talking to everybody and saying your vote doesn't matter. On our side, we're saying, don't just come out and vote, bring people with you. The other side is saying that there's nothing to vote for. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to their messaging. Listen to how they're empowering and who they are empowering. Listen to who they're speaking to when they're talking about making America great again. And look at who they're not speaking to. This is our opportunity. The greatest aspirations that we have. Having a president of the United States who's talking about things like a $6,000 child tax credit, which could be the greatest dent to child poverty that we have seen in our nation's history. Having a president of the United States who's talking about raising a minimum wage and eliminating the days when we have people who are working jobs, and in some cases multiple jobs, and still living at or below a poverty line. Having a president of the United States who's talking about school systems that are teaching our young people how not just to be employees, but how to be employers. Having a president of the United States who's talking about increasing capital and liquidity to our MBEs and our small businesses and our women-owned businesses, and making sure we have a better chance of turning dreams and aspirations into growing businesses. Having a president of the United States who's going to see us and understand that her hopes are the realization of our hopes. This is our time. And we've got 29 days in a wake up to make it happen. I am telling you, by election day, my ask is I want all of us to be exhausted. By election day, I want all of our voices to be gone. By election day, I want all of our knuckles to be raw. By election day, I want us to say, I've got nothing left to give because I left it all on the field. But if we do that, we're going to create a country that those who came before us hope for. And we're going to create a country that those who come after us, that they deserve. Get out there, not just because we're afraid of an alternative. Get out there because this is our moment to achieve our dreams and to really go after our visions. And so I am so thankful for each and every one of you. You are the champions. You are the ones with the, we say not all heroes wear capes, but each and every one of you have capes somewhere wrapped on your shoulders right now. And there is no one who is carrying a greater cape than our vice chair. Madam Vice Chair, I am telling you, you all, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, you all are the secret weapon. You're the one that they never saw coming. And this victory is going to have your fingerprints all over it. So God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for all you do. Let's go win and let's make it decisive and leave no one behind. So God bless you guys and thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. Do what you do. You cannot see all of the accolades, but everyone is with you. Harold has said, God bless you. Tamara Barron has said, we're not going back. We're saying we know why we have the best governor in the whole United States of America. So bless you, your family, and thank you for all that you do for us.
Praise God. God bless y'all. Thank y'all. Let's go win.
So we know the governor has to get back to work. We have elected officials And those of us who just understand how important the stakes are, working, quite frankly, not just over the state of Maryland, but as you heard, Pennsylvania, we have some in Virginia, we have folks going down to Georgia. So, and we're saying we also have to make sure that we win this race in the state of Maryland. So you see a number of links that are being put in the chat. Sign up to help us organize, mobilize, phone bank, canvas, knock on doors. Just be there both with us and for us as we march down these last 29 and a half days to November 5th. So that, again, I'm ready for it. I'm ready to be exhausted. And I know that you all are too, because some of you already are. But you know what? We cannot afford to be sick and tired. Not at this moment in our history. So thank you for that. And what we'll do now is we're going to ask Karen, Deli, and Wisdom to come back on the screen. I will go off camera, and Karen, take it away.
Hello, hello. Okay, let's try this again. I know it's going to be a little hard to come after the governor, but we are here to talk about the importance of getting young people involved in our elections. So I know Deli serves with us on our Young Democrats of Maryland board, and I'll let Deli introduce herself. And then I know Wisdom is coming to us from his capacity in serving with one of our PACs that are working with young people. So I want to hear from both of you all. First of all, can both of you just kind of share what this election kind of means to you and tell us a little bit about what attracted you to this work at a young age? And I'll start with Deli.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm so honored to be here tonight. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you to all the volunteers and Marylanders who are on this call. We are really all fighting together to make sure that we deliver a win, and I'm happy to be here with you guys. So a bit about me. I'm Baltimore born and raised, vice president of the Young Democrats of Maryland, where I oversee our programming. We use programming as a way to attract and engage young people between the ages of 18 and 36 to get involved with Maryland politics. And I can say that young Democrats across the state of Maryland are out here knocking on doors, delivering signs, registering voters, because we know that we have a critical role to play in this election. And we are looking forward to a win on Election Day. So what got me involved with this work is just because I believe that progress starts at the local level. So that's how I got my start working on city council. And I kind of became more civically involved as the years went by. My first real election was working on the coordinated campaign back in 2022 as a lead field organizer with the Westmore campaign, where I knocked on over 10,000 doors to spread the good word about Westmore. And we see that effort was productive. So that's really what keeps me in this work. I love connecting with people and letting them know how important they are to making change in our country and in our local communities as well. So that's a bit about me.
Awesome. Wisdom?
Thank you so much, Karen. And thank you, Deli, for sharing your story. I think you're also Nigerian as well, so shout out to the Niger connection. But really great to be here with you all today. In my day job, I serve as the NAACP's National Senior Director of Advocacy, but I'm here speaking in my personal capacity. Within my personal capacity, I actually serve as the Vice Chair of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated Brown and Gold PAC, where the Brown and Gold PAC as a C4 has proudly endorsed President and Vice President for Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz, and for United States Senate County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. And so it's great to be here on that behalf, to be able to speak to people in the great state of Maryland. You know, I'm seeing that there is power in the state of Maryland. There's Black power in the state of Maryland. And it's great to be a part of that and be a part of that history. You know, to be honest, it is a great time in America to be young, Black, and political. I'm originally from the state of California, was an organizer and an activist with an organization called the African Black Coalition. And throughout my time of doing youth organizing, I've learned what it means to build Black political power, right? To make sure that we are putting people who come from our community, people who engages with us, people who know our priority issues, and put them in the seats of power to ensure that they are working for us, supporting us, and ensuring that we are changing the face of democracy. And so for the last 10 years, I've been able to do organizing work across this nation, working on issues such as the cancellation of student debt, making sure that we are creating safer schools and ensuring that young Black people are turning out, right? In this election, we have over 40 million new Gen Zs who are able to vote, and half of them are literally young people of color. Like literally, there are a great deal of young people who are fired up and ready to vote and ready to engage. And so I'm excited to be a part of this conversation to ensure that we understand the issues that are most important to our community.
Awesome. So I heard you just speak about how young people are fired up and ready to vote. I think here in Maryland and across the country, we saw a lot of that shift when Kamala Harris became at the top of the ticket. And we saw that obviously trickle down to Angela Alsobrooks, and we felt a lot of that energy when Angela became our nominee as well. Can you all speak to what you believe the reason is that young people are so attracted to this ticket this year? From your vantage point, what is it about our candidates that has young people so fired up and ready to vote? And what do you think is the most important issue that is at stake for our young people this year?
Wisdom, you can go.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I think this election, there are so many critical issues that are on the ballot. And I think that this ticket is really speaking to the issues that are most important to young people, right? We have to continue this fight to cancel student debt, right? We've seen so much debt be canceled for millions of Americans, and this fight is not over. And so we want to see candidates who are continuing to support and speak out about that. We want to see candidates that are engaged in even thinking about and talking about dialogue around free college and free education, right? This administration, as well as the incoming one, will be talking about free community college and making sure that young people have access to that. We're talking about voting rights. We're talking about criminal justice. We're talking about economic inequalities and making sure that people have access to affordable housing. Climate change is a big, big issue for this generation of young people, right? We have entire movements around it. And so this is a pressing issue that we have to make sure that our candidates are talking about. And so I think this ticket is really relevant, and it has a system update that has talking and speaking to the language of young people, right? As young people like to say, Kamala Harris is Brad, right? It's Brad Summer. And so she is speaking towards the things that are most important and engaging in cultural spaces that are meaningful to young people.
Yes, exactly. You brought up a lot of great points. And I just want to piggyback off that and mention that we see that this ticket is being intentional about bringing young people to the table. What I mean by that is that we see her on the HBCU tour right now. We see that she has been intentional about hiring young people to sit at her comms and on her comms team, and also sitting on her policy team. I got the opportunity to visit Kamala HQ earlier this year, and the place was filled with young people. So we see that they're being intentional about it, including young people at the table and actually implementing what they are suggesting. And I will also say that for young voters, this election is about our present and our future. It's about making sure that we have the opportunities to succeed. And we know that with the Harris-Walz ticket, we will be getting the future that we know that we deserve. We lost a lot of progress during the Trump years because there was just a lot of chaos. We saw what the Trump presidency was like. And we know that we cannot go back to that. We know that we have the power to shape what comes next. And that's why we are fully behind the Harris-Walz ticket.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to close by asking you guys one question each. What do you think is the most important thing for young people to do between now and Election Day? What do you think is the most important thing for people to take away from this call, from this young people segment between now and Election Day? And I'll start with Deli.
The most important thing for young people to take away from this call is that we can't get caught up in the noise, the headlines, and the misinformation that will be definitely spread. We need to stay focused on what's truly at stake in this election, which is our future, the future of our communities, the future of our families, and the opportunities that we want for the next generation. And most importantly, we need to be knocking on doors. It's not a glamorous job. It's very sweaty. It's very hot. It's not pretty, but it's what needs to happen to ensure that we deliver a win up and down the ticket. And I also want to plug that the Young Democrats are going to be knocking next Saturday in Anne Arundel for Angela and Sarah Alfrith and the school board races in that district. And I hope you all can join us because we need to be having these face-to-face conversations to connect with voters so that they know what is at stake in this election.
Awesome.
No, thank you so much, Deli, for sharing that opportunity. What I would love to leave young people with today is one, facts are nonpartisan, right? And when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. You know, there has been so much information given about this election. There's so much available to us, literally at the tips of our fingers. We have so much access to information. Starting tomorrow, October 7th through October 11th, it's National Voter Education Week, right? It's so important for our young people to know what's on the ballot, to go through it, to understand what is at stake, and to see the issues that are most important to them in plain sight. And so it's important for us to engage in that way. Like I said before, there are 40 million Gen Zs who are eligible to vote in 2024, and about 5.7 million of them are Black youth, right? Elections are won in margins. And so I want to implore each and every single one of you to multiply your vote, right? Earlier, folks were talking about the power of 5 or the power of 10. Let's do 20, right? Let's keep it going. How can you use your influence? How can you use your space? How can you use the people that you know in your community to actually turn out the vote? And the last thing I'll say is likes don't equal votes. It's great to be on social media. It's great to share information. It's great to make sure that we are connected like we've never been before. But it's not just about posting. It's not just about sharing. It's about turning out and making sure that people are actually mobilized to the polls. And so take your activism from online to in person and engage people at every opportunity to turn out this election.
Well, thank you both. You all said some really, really important things that I hope everybody caught, especially with young people. We know that on a lot of the campaigns, most of the volunteers are older and they work the phones, and not all of them can door knock and everything and do 10,000 doors like Deli did. So that's why we need young people on the doors and active and going out, and our likes are not votes. We need to be communicating with voters. So I hope you all will join the Young Dems in Anne Arundel County. Anne Arundel County is one of our most important counties in the state as we look at this election because a lot of Hogan Democrats live there. So we're really excited that the Young Dems will be doing that. So keep up with the work that Deli and Wisdom are doing. And I hope that you all took away these gems that they had. So thank you all for joining us again tonight. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Dukes.
Thank you. And I join Karen in thanking Deli and Wisdom. And speaking of wisdom in a different capacity, I'd like to ask Congressman Glenn Ivey to come off mute and on camera.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
We can certainly hear you. And
right.
Listen, we want to thank you for your patience, Congressman Ivey, because we know, like all of our electeds, that you are doing the work of the people. So talk to us about what you believe is important and where we should keep our feet on the gas.
Well, thank you, Dr. Dukes, for your leadership on this front. And, the previous speakers, the governor, obviously, the legendary Mignon Moore, and Derek Davis, and so many others.
You froze.
Nominees would be controlled by the Senate, and that's one of the reasons electing Angela Alsobrooks is so important. And we know a lot of the reasons that we've talked about before. But I did want to touch on the economics of what's going on right now. We've heard a little bit about that, but whether we have a Democratic or Republican administration makes a huge difference, especially for people here in Prince George's County. For example, we've been awarded the FBI headquarters in the selection process. It's supposed to come to Greenbelt, but the Republicans and Donald Trump hates the FBI because They helped to indict him, as you know, and there's two criminals. Jim Jordan, they don't want it in Maryland. They want to move it to Alabama. That's 3.5 billion or so dollars that we could lose if we lose this election and that site gets moved. Another one is Key Bridge, $2 billion to restore it. I think Governor Moore's leadership in getting that done has been fantastic, and so many other leaders here in the state. But there's no guarantee that a President Trump or a Republican Senate would allow that to move forward, especially not without forcing us to pay a lot more money at the state level to cover that $2 billion. Another issue that we need to think about is Project 2025. You know, Trump says he's not connected to it, but everybody that worked on writing it either worked on his campaign or worked in his administration. So, you know, this is his handiwork. This is the blueprint for a Trump administration if they win. And one of the things he wants to do is get rid of tens of thousands of federal employees. He wants to replace civil servants because they do their job the right way, and he doesn't want that. And he wants to replace them with political hacks. And that would have an awful impact on Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and the nation, because it would politicize the federal government in a way that would be really devastating to the country. I think we also want to make sure we talk to voters at large about the impact on their pocketbooks. Certainly the economy. You know, they're running these commercials pretending like the economy's been terrible. Actually, we got, you know, inflation back down. It's around 3.3%. Unemployment, especially for African Americans, has been at all-time lows in the past year with the Biden-Harris administration. And I think we need to emphasize that to people when we go out and talk to them about why they should vote. And then child tax credit, which brought about half of the kids in poverty out of poverty while it was still running. The Republicans refused to renew it, but this would be one of the things that could really help families, African American and other. Student loan cancellation. Student loan cancellation is another. Helping kids, potential students, go to college, community college or college and university, either free or at reduced rates, is another one of those things that could really help to transform lives. So I think we want to make sure we talk to people, yes, about voting rights, yes, about the impact on the Supreme Court, all of those things across the board. But for many voters, the economy is the bottom line. Their pocketbook is and the Democratic House majority would really help to make their lives better and fill their pockets and help them get on the right track. Those that haven't benefited from the positive Biden economy, there's more to come, and their future is going to be bright if we get a chance to continue to build on that economy. So to Dr. Dukes and all of you tonight, I want to thank you. I also want to thank Omar Washington and Lauren, to the group of people who want to volunteer. We had about 70 people show up, and they're going to, you know, knock on doors, work at polls, register voters and the like. And I hope you all can do some of the same work. So keep up the good work. This is the time it really makes a difference. You know, yesterday I was holding
yeah, I think the congressman went out for a
reminder to me.
Go ahead, Congressman.
So we want to make sure we make sure the future for all of us are protected, including our grandchildren. So thanks so much. Keep up the great work, and let's push through the finish line on November 5.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You keep up the good work too.
All right.
All right. So now what we'd like to do, we're going to make a slight adjustment in the program, and we're going to go to the Speaker of the House, the Honorable Adrian Jones. So thank you, Speaker Jones.
Mm-hmm. So I just got on, so I don't know where you are. I had issues with this, you know, with getting on, so.
And we just want you to talk to us about what you think. If you can, come off camera. If not, we just want you to give us a few words about what's important in this election from your perspective, and just keep us pumped up, fired up, and ready to go.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, and thank you for inviting all of us. This isn't just another national election. It's a personal election. Um, I'm sure I speak for most people on this call when I say that we are tired of attacks on our freedom. I'm talking about in terms of far as women. And we're tired of the rise in hate and intolerance we all seen in our communities. And we're tired of this is from my perspective because it may not be for everybody from what I've hear. Because I used to be a fair practice director, and some of these things seem like it's coming back. We're tired of attacks on equity and inclusion, of attacks on healthcare and economic opportunities. Um, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to stop fighting, because this November we had the chance to deliver a piece of Maryland history to Washington, to send someone new to Washington, D.C. as a member of the United States Senate and someone new to the White House as our next president. And that's why I was very proud to support both uh, Kamala Harris and Angela Brooks. Um, and and similar to me, as far as my role when I became speaker, we're familiar with breaking glass ceilings and delivering results for our constituents. Um, to me, this upcoming election is personal. I want to see a Black woman from Maryland in the United States Senate, and Black women to continue to represent our democratic values in the White House. Because the last few weeks I've been listening to some of the comments from the other side, and it's just, we got to do it. If you want to get it done right, have a woman do it. And I'm not just saying just because I've been following some of the crazy stuff that's been going on. And because I know that both of these women in these positions will get it right. And they're leaders who won't accept things because that's the way it's always been done. And if you haven't noticed, big pieces of Washington, D.C. are broken. The status quo isn't cutting it. And that's why I know that both uh, Kamala and Angela are ready to put policies in place to improve equity across our country and our state. They're ready to fight for greater economic opportunities for our community, for our HBCUs, for more affordable housing, and for policies that address the impacts of systemic racism. So let's keep our foot on the gas pedal. Let's keep organizing, keep knocking on doors, keep making phone calls. Let's keep voting and supporting Democrats at every level of government. And I know most of those who are on this call are enlightened, but we all know some friends and family members who may still not be paying attention right now and don't really get it. And on behalf of Kamala's campaign and Angela's campaign, our job is to reach them. Our job is to make sure they're registered to vote, to make sure that they have a plan to vote, and to make sure they get out to vote. And I'm going to stop there because you got all the people that I know you want to hear from. But thank you for having me tonight. Had trouble getting on, but let us all keep working hard and finish strong. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Speaker Jones, your story is just as impressive. You too have made history, and we don't want to leave without saying that. Thank you for all you do, not just as Speaker of the House, but all you did as a delegate, and certainly all you do as a woman who is committed to the state of Maryland and serving everyone. So thank you. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Oh, thank you. All right.
All right, take care. And as we do that, we're going to ask Jeremiah Pope, who is the chair of the African American DLC. Jeremiah, talk to us tonight about what's important with the DLC and the role that you serve and what your needs are and what you expect from all of us.
Yes, Dr. Dukes. First of all, I would say that thank you guys for allowing me to be on this call. It's an honor and a blessing. I don't know how to follow up with our wonderful and magnificent speaker. She's the best. So I'll say this, that the African American Leadership Council, the mission is to energize activists. And that doesn't mean if you are in the Eastern Shore, we need you. If you are in the inner suburbs or the DMV area, we need you. And so we need people to come out to the polls. We need people to register voters. We need people to make donations. We need people for everything. Because as you guys know, we have to pat ourselves on the back. The Black voters, we're stronger together. We've done a lot. We elected the magnificent speaker. We elected our magnificent governor. And now it's time for us to elect Kamala and also Angela Alsobrooks. And so if you click on the QR code, it'll tell you ways to get involved. And I need as many people as possible to hit the grounds running with me. And it would just be an honor to have as many people as possible so we can ensure that no vote and no one is left behind. Because just like the governor said, we cannot take any votes for granted. There's freedom is on the ballot, civil rights is on the ballot, and social justice is on the ballot. And so please click on the QR code. I know it's late, so I'll go on to my next person, Deja.
Thank you. We're going to go to Zena Pierre next.
I'm sorry.
Made a few changes, but if you all just hang in there with us a few more minutes, we have two more speakers who are going to move through their portion very quickly, and then we'll have a special guest who will come on to talk about the power of prayer. So Zena Pierre, if you'll come off screen, if you'll come on screen and unmute, please talk to us in your role as managing the faith community and coalitions.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Dukes, and certainly thank you to the party for organizing such an amazing moment in time for African-American Marylanders. I just want to share a few things with you. I serve as co-chair along with Reverend Regina Clay as the Coordinated Campaign Faith Outreach co-chair. And listen, there's a couple things because you've already heard everything from Mignon Moore and also from Terrence and others about what we need to do and what's at stake. But I wanted to share just a couple of things. One, voter information. You've heard the dates, registration deadlines. By mail, you must have it postmarked by 5 p.m. On October 15th. If you're going to do early voting in person, October 24th through the 31st, that's October 24th through the 31st, we'll start early voting. And listen, we're asking people to tell your folk to vote early. Do not wait until November 5th, but get everybody, lottie-dottie and everybody out to be able to go and do this together. So you heard Dr. Duke say, and you heard Karen say, get at least 10 people or more, 10 people or more, and galvanize your family members, your church members, your co-workers, those who are your friends and even your foes, and say, listen, I'm challenging you to get 10 people registered to vote and 10 people that you will ensure that you can get them to the polls. We have seniors that are in need of having transportation. So for those of you who are on this Zoom and you are a pastor, we recognize that you cannot in any way infringe upon your 501c3 if you use your vehicles without any partisan signs on them. You are allowed to do so. And so we want to make certain that you do something, hashtag do something. And so make a plan, make certain that you have a plan with your family members, that you have a plan with your friends on exactly what you intend to do between now and November 5th. Get folks registered to vote. Get folks to the polls. Get them early to the polls. We need poll watchers and poll workers. We need phone bankers to volunteer. And there's a link that Deja placed in the timeline, as well as what Jeremiah just spoke about in terms of how you can volunteer. But I just want to share just quickly the next slide, because a lot of misinformation and disinformation is out regarding ex-felons. And the restoration of voting rights in Maryland, it gives you a lineup. Convicted felons, can I have my voting rights restored in Maryland if I have previously been convicted of a felony? The answer is yes, you can. As of March 10th, 2016, if you have been convicted of a felony and have completed serving a court-ordered sentence of imprisonment, you are eligible to register to vote. What are some of the things that you can vote, even if you were convicted and the felony convictions are not for the crime of buying or selling votes? If you have completed imprisonment, and you can vote while on probation unless you were convicted of buying or selling votes. And so, beloved, listen, Galatians 6:9 says, do not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. So listen, this is our due season. And so together we're going to come. Last Monday, we had the elected officials. We had the next day, we had D9. We had a group of pastors led by Bishop Reggie Jackson that came together, over 150 people. And this coming Monday on the 14th of October at 7:30 p.m., if you sign up with the registered link in the timeline, we want you to find us, every pastor across the state of Maryland, to join Reverend Regina and I, as well as Sister Barbara Holt Streeter, so that we can come together and map out the plan. We will have talking points for you, for your pulpit every Sunday, and we're going to have a Super Soul Sunday on the very last Sunday before Election Day, where we will all be in unison on one accord with the same talking points and one voice. So thank you so much, Dr. Dukes, for this opportunity to share.
Thank you, Dr. Pierre. The information you shared is always welcome. And this about the restoration of voting rights in Maryland, I hope everyone took a screenshot so that you too can spread the message about who can vote and how they can do it because of the other information that's been shared. So thank you, Dr. Pierre. And now we're going to go to Deja Scott, who's going to talk to you a little bit about communications, and then we'll welcome our final guest. Thank you all for staying on the call. We know we've gone over time, but the work that we're doing today, tomorrow, and for the next 29 days is critical. Deja, if you'll come off mute.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you again for staying on this call. We are rallied up and geared up for Angela and Kamala, and I'm coming here to share some information about communications and social media and how you can engage. So we have created social media frames for you to push that we are all in for Alsobrooks as Black Marylanders. And if you scan the QR code, there will be a link with steps and a Canva slide that you can use to make your own frame for social media. If you can go to the next slide, it has step-by-step instructions on how to do so. And in a second, I will show you how to do so. Yes. No. 1 second. So once you scan the QR code, it will take you to Canva. It will take you to a Canva link that has the Black Marylanders All In for Alsobrooks frame. And on that link, you will be able to drag and drop in your own photo. I'm going to walk you through that now very quickly because I know we've been on. So if you can see my screen with the frame, when you open up the link, it will bring up this frame and you can simply upload your picture by going to the upload button, which you can see on the left side of your screen, clicking upload. And then when you upload the file, you can select the image of your choice. and then it will appear in your uploads. And then you just simply take your image and you drag and drop it into the frame. Once you drag and drop it into the frame, you can share it by going to the right side of your screen, clicking share, go to download, make sure that you're selecting the PNG version, and you click transparent background so that it fits into your circle profile. And then you can download it and it will go to your computer so that you can upload it to your social media. We have that in the slideshow, and I will be sharing the slideshow with all registrants of the call tonight. So if you need those instructions, those will be forthcoming. Thank you again for coming on to the call, and I've truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Deja. We appreciate it as well. And as I've told you, we have our last speaker, but who is a mighty powerful woman of God, who is an activist, an advocate. And we've asked her to come on to pray as we move into these last 29 days. And she is here in her personal capacity, but the Reverend Siobhan Arline Bradley, in addition to being associated with Alfred Street Baptist Church, she is the president and CEO of the National Council of Negro Women. So Reverend Arline Bradley, if you come off mute and pray as we move through these last 29 days, yours will be the last voice we'll hear tonight.
Well, Dr. Dukes know to put a preacher on at the end of a session. It is so good to see all of the Maryland Strong family on the line. Thank you so much. I just got in from out of the country, but I would not miss the opportunity to be on. I saw our mayor. I saw some of the names that are on the line tonight, and the chat has been a blessing to see everybody just ecstatic to be on this line. I am here in my personal capacity, but let me just say this. We are in a point and place in time that I believe is God ordained. And whatever your religious persuasion or background is, many of us understand that we are working and fighting for something that is bigger than us. And so as we continue to prepare our hearts for the work that has to be done, I have a very specific prayer that I want to pray tonight. Because one of the things that I do know is that Maryland is on the national stage. And because we are prepared to be on the front lines, we're going to have to do some frontline praying. And so I just ask you just to close your hearts and minds, to just take your breath. Inhale victory, exhale negativity. Inhale joy, and exhale disgruntled people. Inhale election victory, and exhale defeat. God, we come to you tonight because we believe that we are working and fighting for something that is greater than all of us. And many of us have different places and spaces on who we call God or what we even call God. But tonight, God, I call on you because I have seen you do great things. And as we prepare our hearts for the next 30 days, I want to first pray for every candidate coming from this great state of Maryland. Particularly tonight, we are praying for our own Angela Alsobrooks. We're praying for every leader who was running in the U.S. House, every leader that is running for a major election from this state. But we're also praying for what we believe is going to be future President of the United States, Kamala Harris. God, you have ordered the steps of Black people in this country for centuries. We are such a resilient people, God, and you've given us that strength. But God, we call on you right now to calm the hearts of those that would bring vile racism and classism and sexism into this race. Expose those that need to be exposed, quiet those that need to be quieted, and lift the arms of victory in this moment. God, I pray for protection from hurt, harm, and danger. For those that would try to harm our candidates, to even harm our community. And God, I even pray now for the leaders of this Democratic Party, the Black leaders, that the brothers and sisters will be united more now than ever before. I thank you for Dr. Dukes. I thank you for all of the leaders that have been gathering and fighting for this party. I pray for our state house. I see our speaker is on. I pray for everyone who is in position. God, when you say yes to public service, you're saying yes to public scrutiny. God, I ask you to bind and disconnect all of those words and plans and deeds and schemes that will try to come against us and to separate us. Not on our watch, we say tonight. And as we prepare to go into the next 30 days, this will be the last month of this work for this season. And we believe, and we're so careful to give you glory, that you will have us stand in victory on November the 6th. We're going to be screaming aloud, having a new kind of party that next day. God, I know that you have seen us before and seen us through, and we're asking you to do it again. Do it like you did for our ancestors. Do it like you did for those that came before us. Allow us to rise in victory. We thank you now. We believe you now. We trust you now. And we know that there's no weapon formed against us that will prosper, and that we're going to do all things through you that strengthens us. It's in your name I do pray, I trust, and believe wholeheartedly. Amen. And thank God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Arline Bradley. We know that you are out of the country and you thought so much of what's going on here that you joined us tonight. We want to thank all of you who stayed with us. Make sure that you clicked on the links. And if you didn't, go to marylanddems.org. And you can get information from us there. And I know that Deja will be reaching out, maybe because you shared some contact information with us. We are so excited about what is to come. And we know that together we can do this. Have a great night, everyone. Let's keep the work going. I think that Deja.
I was making sure that anything.
Okay, and I was going to say, I think that we can close the chat. I didn't think that we wanted to stay on tonight for anything. Am I correct or not?
No, that's all.
Okay, take care, everyone. We'll do a debrief. All right.